Have you ever noticed that the hardest moments in life often come right before something incredible happens? Right before the breakthrough, right before the blessing, right before the miracle you've been praying for. And that's why you need to watch this moment carefully, because what you might be calling a disaster, heaven might be calling preparation. Some of you feel like you're standing in the middle of a storm right now. Nothing feels stable. The winds are loud, the waves are high, and you're wondering why everything in your life suddenly became so difficult. You prayed for peace, but you got pressure. You asked for direction, but everything became confusing. You believed for a miracle, but what you see around you looks nothing like a miracle. But here's what you have to understand: storms are not always sent to destroy you. Sometimes storms are sent to position you. When a storm shows up in your life, your first instinct is to panic. Your first thought is, something has gone wrong. But what if the storm isn't proof that things are falling apart? What if the storm is proof that something powerful is about to happen? Think about it. In nature, the atmosphere shifts before something extraordinary takes place. The sky grows dark before the rain pours out. The wind begins to move before the clouds release what they've been carrying. The storm looks chaotic, but it's actually part of the process. And the same is true in your life. Many people quit in the storm because they think the storm means the promise has failed. They walk away from their faith, they walk away from their dream, they walk away from the thing they once believed for, simply because the storm arrived. But storms are not the end of the story. Storms are often the chapter right before the miracle shows up. Some of you are frustrated because the very area where you believed things would get better is the exact place where the pressure increased. Your relationships feel heavier. Your finances feel tighter. Your mind feels more overwhelmed than it used to. And you're asking, why now? Because growth rarely comes in comfort. The miracle you're praying for requires a version of you that the old season could not produce. Strength is not built in calm weather. Faith is not built when everything is easy. Courage is not built when the road is smooth. Faith grows in storms. There are people watching this right now who feel like giving up. You've been strong for so long. You've kept believing even when things didn't make sense. But lately, the storm feels louder than the promise. But listen carefully, just because the storm is loud doesn't mean the promise disappeared. Sometimes the storm is actually pushing you toward the place where the miracle is waiting. Sometimes the pressure is breaking things off your life that were never meant to go with you into the next season. Sometimes the confusion is forcing you to depend on a strength greater than your own. And that's the moment when everything begins to change. Because miracles rarely arrive when people feel comfortable. Miracles show up when people feel desperate enough to believe beyond what they can see. Right now you might feel like you're losing control. Plans didn't work out. People walked away. Opportunities closed. The situation looks worse than it did before you started believing. But what if the storm is clearing the path? What if the shaking is removing what couldn't support the miracle anyway? What if the delay you're complaining about is actually protection? You see, storms expose things. They reveal who you trust, what you depend on, and where your foundation really is. And while it may feel uncomfortable, exposure is necessary before transformation. The storm might be revealing fear that needs to leave your life. It might be revealing distractions that have been pulling you away from your purpose. It might be revealing the strength inside you that you never knew existed. And here's the truth most people miss: the storm doesn't last forever. Storms move. They pass. The same wind that scares you today will be silent tomorrow. The same waves that look overwhelming right now will eventually calm down. And when the storm clears, you'll see something you couldn't see before. You'll see that the storm didn't destroy you. It developed you. It didn't end your story. It prepared your miracle. So if you're watching this while standing in the middle of chaos, don't panic. Don't give up. Don't walk away from the promise just because the wind is loud. Sometimes the darkest sky appears right before the rain brings life to the ground. Sometimes the strongest storm appears right before the greatest breakthrough. And sometimes the very moment that feels like everything is falling apart is actually the moment when everything is about to come together. So hold on, because this storm may not be the end. It might just be the storm before the miracle. Cloud with rain sparkles. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's falling apart. The plans you carefully built begin to shake. The stability you trusted starts to feel uncertain. The peace you once had seems replaced by pressure and confusion. In those moments, it's easy to believe the storm in your life is an enemy sent to destroy your progress. But sometimes what feels like destruction is actually preparation. Preparation rarely looks peaceful. It rarely feels comfortable. The process of being shaped into something stronger almost always involves pressure. Think about the most powerful transformations that happen in life. Nothing extraordinary is created without resistance. A seed must break open before it becomes a tree. Muscles must experience strain before they grow stronger. Gold must pass through intense fire before it becomes pure. In the same way, the storms that appear in your life may not be signs that everything is going wrong. They may actually be signs that something important is being formed inside you. When life becomes difficult, your first instinct might be to escape the storm. You want relief. You want the situation to calm down immediately. But what if the storm has a purpose that comfort cannot accomplish? What if the struggle is building strength that ease never could? The patience you are learning during this difficult season may become the very quality that allows you to succeed later. The endurance you are developing through hardship may become the reason you survive challenges that others cannot overcome. The wisdom you gain from painful experiences may guide decisions that will shape your future. Preparation often happens in hidden places. It happens in moments when nobody sees your effort. It happens when you are quietly fighting battles within yourself. While the outside world may only see the storm, something deeper is happening inside you. Your character is being refined. Your perspective is being expanded. Your resilience is being strengthened. Many people want the miracle without the preparation. They want the breakthrough without the process. But the process is what prepares you to carry the miracle responsibly. Without preparation, the very blessing you prayed for could become overwhelming. Storms stretch your capacity. They challenge your assumptions. They push you beyond the limits you once believed you had. What feels like pressure today may actually be expanding your ability to handle greater opportunities tomorrow. Instead of seeing the storm as a signal of defeat, you can begin to see it as part of your development. It may be shaping you into someone who can handle success with wisdom, influence with humility, and opportunity with maturity. When the storm eventually passes, you may look back and realize that it wasn't meant to break you at all. It was preparing you for something your previous version of yourself could not have handled. Pressure has a unique ability to reveal what truly exists beneath the surface. In calm seasons, it is easy to appear confident and strong. When life feels predictable, many people believe they fully understand themselves. They think they know how they will respond in difficult moments. But the truth about your character often remains hidden until pressure begins to rise. When the storm arrives, things that once seemed stable suddenly begin to shift. Emotions become stronger. Thoughts become louder. Doubts that were once quiet start demanding attention. This is when many people begin to discover what truly lives inside their hearts. Fear may surface in ways that surprise you. Insecurity might appear where confidence once existed. Frustration may rise when plans stop working the way you expected. These emotions can feel uncomfortable, but they serve an important purpose. You cannot overcome something you refuse to recognize. Pressure exposes the hidden areas of your mindset that still need growth. It reveals the places where your confidence depends too heavily on circumstances instead of inner strength. It shows you the thoughts that need to be challenged and the beliefs that need to be strengthened. At the same time, pressure also reveals strength you may have never realized you possessed. Many people underestimate their own resilience. They assume they will break under the weight of difficult situations. But when life actually tests them, something surprising begins to happen. They find courage they didn't know existed. They discover determination they never believed they had. The storm becomes a moment of discovery. You begin to see that you are capable of more than you once believed. The challenge that seemed impossible becomes an opportunity to grow stronger. Each obstacle you face begins to reshape your understanding of what you can endure. Pressure does not create your character from nothing. It reveals the foundation that has already been forming within you. It brings hidden weaknesses into the light so they can be strengthened. It brings hidden strengths into the open so they can be developed further. Without pressure, many people would never discover their true potential. Comfort keeps everything the same. It allows habits, fears, and limitations to remain unchallenged. But the storm forces change. It pushes you to confront parts of yourself that you may have ignored before. And through that process, transformation becomes possible. What once felt like a threatening force becomes a powerful teacher. The pressure that seemed overwhelming begins to reveal a stronger, wiser version of yourself that was waiting to emerge all along. Waiting can be one of the most challenging parts of any difficult season. When you are working towards something important, you naturally hope the results will come quickly. You imagine the breakthrough happening sooner rather than later. But sometimes the journey takes longer than expected, and the delay begins to test your patience. In those moments, many people start questioning everything they once believed. They wonder if their effort has been wasted. They begin to doubt whether the promise they were holding onto will ever become reality. The longer the waiting season lasts, the easier it becomes to assume that the opportunity has disappeared completely. But delays do not mean the promise has been cancelled. Timing plays a powerful role in every meaningful outcome. There are moments when things must develop beneath the surface before they can appear above it. Just because progress is invisible does not mean it is not happening. Think about the way growth works in nature. When a seed is planted, the first stages of development happen underground. Roots begin to grow before the plant becomes visible. During that time, it may look like nothing is happening at all. But beneath the soil, an essential foundation is being formed. The same principle often applies to the challenges and delays you experience in life. While you are waiting, unseen progress may be taking place. Skills are developing, character is strengthening, understanding is expanding. These quiet changes prepare you for the moment when the opportunity finally arrives. If certain opportunities appeared too early, you might not be ready to handle them. Success without preparation can become overwhelming. Responsibility without maturity can create unnecessary pressure. Sometimes what feels like a delay is actually protection. The waiting season allows you to grow into the person capable of sustaining the miracle you are hoping for. It teaches patience in a world that constantly demands immediate results. It teaches discipline when motivation becomes inconsistent. It teaches perseverance when giving up might seem easier. Through waiting, your commitment is tested and strengthened. You learn to keep moving forward even when progress feels slow. You learn to trust the process even when the outcome is still uncertain. One day, when the moment finally arrives and the promise begins to unfold, you may realize that the delay was never meant to discourage you. It was meant to prepare you. What felt like wasted time may actually turn out to be the season that shaped your readiness for everything that followed. Life often includes transitions that require letting go of things that once felt permanent. In many cases, storms play a role in these transitions. They create moments of shaking that reveal what is strong enough to remain and what was never meant to stay. When everything feels stable, it is easy to become attached to familiar patterns. Relationships, environments, habits, and routines begin to feel secure simply because they have been part of your life for a long time. But not everything that is familiar is meant to follow you into the next chapter of your journey. Sometimes the storm arrives to remove what no longer belongs in your future. This process can feel painful at first. Losing something you once depended on is never easy. When a relationship changes, when an opportunity disappears, or when a comfortable situation begins to shift, it can create confusion and disappointment. But storms often serve as moments of clarity. They reveal which connections are truly supportive and which ones were only temporary. They expose habits that were quietly limiting your growth. They bring attention to environments that may have been holding you back without you realizing it. Without the storm, you might never have questioned whether those things still belonged in your life. Comfort has a way of keeping people in situations that are no longer healthy or productive. Even when something stops helping you grow, familiarity can make it difficult to walk away. The storm disrupts that comfort and forces movement. As difficult as that movement may feel, it often creates space for new possibilities. When something leaves your life, it creates room for something else to enter. When distractions are removed, focus becomes clearer. When limiting influences disappear, new opportunities have space to develop. The storm may take things away, but it also prepares the ground for something better. Instead of seeing every loss as a failure, it can sometimes be helpful to see it as part of a transition. What is leaving may simply be making room for what is meant to arrive next. Over time, you may realize that certain things had to go in order for you to move forward. The storm was not taking away your future. It was clearing the path that leads toward it. Faith becomes most meaningful during moments of uncertainty. When life feels predictable and everything is working according to plan, belief can seem effortless. It is easy to remain confident when the outcome appears clear and the path ahead feels stable. But true faith reveals itself when certainty disappears. When the storm arrives and you can no longer see how things will work out, you are faced with a choice. You can allow fear and doubt to dominate your thoughts, or you can choose to keep believing even when the situation feels unclear. Uncertainty stretches your perspective in ways that comfort never could. It challenges the assumptions you once relied on. It forces you to develop a deeper level of trust in the process of growth. Instead of relying only on visible evidence, you begin to depend on inner conviction. In these moments, faith stops being a simple idea and becomes a daily decision. You decide to keep moving forward even when you cannot see the full path ahead. You choose to keep working toward your purpose. Even when progress feels slower than expected, you continue to believe that something meaningful can come from the storm you are currently facing. Each time you make that decision, your resilience becomes stronger. The storm becomes a training ground for patience and perseverance. It teaches you that confidence does not have to disappear simply because circumstances become uncertain. It shows you that strength can exist even when the outcome has not yet been revealed. Over time, this process builds a mindset that cannot easily be shaken by temporary challenges. People who develop faith during uncertain seasons often emerge with a deeper understanding of themselves and their purpose. They learn that setbacks do not have to define their future. They discover that perseverance can carry them through situations that once seemed impossible. Faith grows strongest when it is tested. And when the storm eventually passes, the belief you strengthened during that season becomes one of your greatest sources of confidence moving forward. The way you respond to challenges can shape the direction of your entire future. Storms themselves are often unavoidable. Every person eventually faces moments of difficulty, uncertainty, and unexpected change. But the outcome of those moments is not determined only by the storm itself. It is strongly influenced by the response you choose. Two people can experience very similar challenges yet arrive at completely different destinations. One person may allow the pressure to convince them that success is no longer possible. They may lose motivation, withdraw from opportunities, and gradually stop trying altogether. Another person facing the same situation might choose a different perspective. Instead of seeing the storm as a final defeat, they see it as a difficult chapter within a larger story. They begin searching for lessons within the struggle. They look for ways to adapt, improve, and continue moving forward. The difference between these two outcomes is not the absence of hardship. It is the decision about how to respond to it. When the storm appears, you have an opportunity to strengthen your mindset. You can decide whether the challenge will weaken your determination or deepen it. You can allow fear to control your actions, or you can use the difficulty as motivation to grow stronger. This does not mean ignoring the reality of the situation. Storms can be exhausting and frustrating. Acknowledging the difficulty is part of facing it honestly. But acknowledging the challenge does not mean surrendering to it. Every obstacle carries a lesson that can shape your future decisions. Every setback contains information that can help you improve your strategy. Every difficult moment offers a chance to develop resilience that will benefit you later. Your response becomes a form of training for the next stage of your life. The choices you make during difficult seasons influence the habits you develop, the beliefs you strengthen, and the direction your life begins to move. Over time, those choices accumulate and form the foundation of your future. The storm may not be something you chose, but the response always remains within your control. Many people imagine that miracles appear during perfect moments. They expect breakthroughs to arrive when life finally becomes calm and stable. They believe the best outcomes will appear once every challenge has disappeared and everything feels comfortable again. But in reality, powerful transformations often emerge right in the middle of difficult seasons. When the storm reaches its most intense point, something begins to shift. The pressure that once felt overwhelming starts producing unexpected strength. The challenges that once seemed impossible begin revealing solutions that were not visible before. This is often the moment when change begins. The storm pushes you beyond the limits you once believed defined you. It forces you to think differently, act differently, and approach problems with new creativity. The struggle becomes a catalyst that pushes you toward growth you may never have pursued otherwise. By the time the miracle begins to appear, you are no longer the same person who entered the storm. You have gained experience that sharpened your judgment. You have developed resilience that strengthened your confidence. You have learned lessons that expanded your understanding of what is possible. Looking back, the difficult moments that once felt meaningless begin to reveal their purpose. The setbacks may have redirected you toward better opportunities. The delays may have allowed time for important preparation. The challenges may have strengthened qualities that became essential to your eventual success. What once looked like chaos begins to form a pattern. The storm that frightened you at the beginning of the journey may turn out to be the very force that guided you toward transformation. It pushed you to grow, forced you to adapt, and prepared you for possibilities you could not have imagined earlier. When the storm finally clears and the breakthrough becomes visible, you may realize that the miracle did not appear in spite of the storm. If this message blessed you, share it with someone who needs it.